Hey folks, this is Dave again with Advanced MasterCAM, and today we're going to be going over Project 5. Now, Project 5 is a little unique in that it is pretty difficult, not impossible, but difficult to actually make out of straight from the solids. We are actually going to create this project with surfaces. We're going to create a three-dimensional wireframe first, and then we're going to put surfaces on it, and then once we enclose the entire the part with surfaces, we'll then convert it to a solid. So to get started, we're going to be drawing on the front WCS, and we're going to be drawing basically this house shape, which is a square and two angles coming off at 45 degrees. So let's jump over to MasterCAM, set up our file, and we'll get started. First things first, let's set up our layers. And this time we're going to actually have 3 layers. First one, CAD. Second one is surfaces. And the third, solids. Activate layer 1. We're going to hit F9 to get our origin up. We're going to go ahead and already go to front WCS. Click on top WCS view, and now we're ready to draw our little house shape. So let's start with the create rectangular shape. Now the values we're going to use is 1.5 in this direction and 1.375 in that direction. So 1.5 here, 1.375 here. No radius, no rotation, square corners, lower left hand side, and we'll put it there. Now we're going to draw a line that comes off at 45 degrees this way and a line that comes off at 135 degrees this way. So we'll lock in 45 degrees here. Snap. We've got to lock it in. Snap here. Hit enter so that it unhighlights. And we're going to add 90 degrees to it. And we're going to come this way. Now we'll do the divide delete on our trim. Delete these things next. I'm going to delete this guy here too because we just want this house shape. Okay, so there is the back of our house. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this all in wireframe first. So I'm going to take this shape and I'm going to move it forward a quarter of an inch while using join. So X-form, translate, select all of these pieces here, hit enter. We're going to want to join, and it's going to come out a quarter of an inch. And as we use join, what it does is it draws all these nice corners in for us. We're not going to need a lot of this, but we're going to leave it in for now while we finish creating this part. The next is I'm going to take these 3 back ones and move them forward to the front of the part of 1.25. So selecting, we'll hit blue plus mark here, selecting these 3 only. I'm going to move. It's coming out 1.25. Make sure we're going the right direction, and it's out here, and that represents the front of the part. We'll prove that, and now I moved it. I meant to do copy, so let's go back and redo that. So Control Z is the same as hitting this undo button. So let's go translate these 3 here, and what I should have done instead of move, I should have copied. Now 1.25. There we go. Now we have what we need. Now let's go through it. I'm just deleting the items that we're no longer going to need. Those guys. I know this may look kind of weird, but you'll see once we get this all drawn and everything will look great. So let's just connect the bottoms. Oh, I have my angle locked in there, so we got to just undo this angle. I'm going to draw these lines in representing the bottom. Now I notice I have 3 different colors on here. You can clear the colors with this icon here. Now everything's blue. So now I need to draw this angle line here. And to do that, I have to be on the left side of the part. So WCS left, and we're going to click that button here. It says top WCS, but that's view. It's different than the red WCS. This one's green. These are red. They're different. So we're going to draw a line from here that comes down off of this part. Now the angle between this line and here is 30. If we were to draw a line horizontally off of here, that means between this line and that horizontal line is also 30. So what we got to do is draw a line. If I were to lock in at 0, it comes straight off the edge, and that's not right. I need to be 30 degrees down. and to go down I actually have to go counterclockwise, or clockwise, which is a -30. So there, that's correct. I want to copy this on this other side, so Xform translate, highlight that line. We're going to copy, but this time I'm going to do from and to. So we're going to click 1, and we're going to highlight that in. It's going to ask us where the second point is, and we move it over there. And we'll prove that. Now we got to trim. Let's trim these corners up. So trim, divide, delete, and bring it down. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this peak here, and we're going to transform it down to here. So Xform translate these two lines, and we're going to use join this time because I want it to draw the ridge in while I'm doing it. We'll do from and to again. So point 1, point 2, and as you see, the ridge was drawn in with it. Very handy to use sometimes. So what do we do from here? We basically have to draw the CAD that represents this shelf here and this shelf here. It's not it's really hard just to draw them freehand because we don't know where these points are. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this big surface here for the roof, this slanted roof section on both sides. We're going to create this surface in an L shape. We're going to sweep it through there, and then we're going to use a command that where these surfaces intersect each other, it'll draw CAD for us. So let's go ahead and get back to our MasterCAM. So let's go ahead, switch to level 2, and I'm going to draw a surface here and here. So let's go create surfaces, flat boundary. We're going to walk. Make sure you walk in the direction of the arrows too. If I go the wrong direction, it doesn't like it. So walk from green to red, and walk around the chain. Hit enter twice, and we're going to do another one over here. Okay, that's all we're going to need for now. Actually, no, we're going to also need the front face too. Create surface, flat boundary, and let's walk. Oh, went the wrong way. Walk around the part. Okay, so now how do we draw surfaces that make up the shelf? Well, it's actually pretty simple. This is a vertical surface and this is a flat surface. So if we draw an L, basically an L CAD line, and we sweep it along a curve, we get two surfaces, and we can get them to intersect the two top ones and the front. So let's get back on here, and we're going to need to do this on the left side. So it's WCS, left WCS, click this first icon to make sure we're looking at the right spot, and we are. Now, the bottom of this shelf is 1.125 from the bottom. So all we need to do, Xform, offset, click this line, click up, and put 1.125. And that line represents the bottom of our shelf. Now, how far back is the vertical part of the shelf? It's 0.375. Now, I'm going to click this line, and I want it to transform it into a flat line at here, at Z of 0. In order to do that, I need this 3D to be 2D. So I'll select this line, select over, and you see now it's a flat line right on top of the other line. Now, we're going to come back 0.375, and that is where we need it. So I'm going to clean up our CAD here, basically trim some stuff back and extend it. So I'm going to trim it back to here. Now I want this to make sure this extends past my surface in the vertical and the horizontal. So I'll come to push this extend button here. I'll extend it in both directions, and that looks pretty good. Now that would be the profile that I'll be extruding along this way, but I need to create basically a curve that is going to extrude along. So let's come back to WCS front. Now we're looking at the front of our part. To draw that CAD line, we're going to make sure we're going to switch back to 3D because I want to snap here, not back here. I want to snap here, so 3-dimensional. I'm going to come to our line, and I'm going to lock in 0 degrees right here, and I'm going to let it stretch out. So what this is going to do now, when I create the surface, it's going to take these two lines and run it along this line to make two surfaces. So create surface, swept. Now it's asking what contours define the across contours. Just these two lines here. Hit enter. And which defines the along contours, which is this one here. Oh, the reason why I had the problem there is because I don't know if you saw it, but the arrows are running the wrong direction. So let's try this again. You want these two here, and then I went and I selected that, and see that arrow is running in the wrong direction. It needs to start at the contour, so I'm going to flip it. There we go. Now I prove it. There's my two surfaces. So now I'm going to use these surfaces here to create the CAD that represents that shelf. To do that, we'll go create curve, and I believe it's curve at intersections. So once ask for the first set of surfaces, which is that set, and the second set are these two. And boom, there are the intersection curves. So let's get rid of these surfaces, and we don't need the cross contour and rail contour anymore either. We also are going to get rid of these surfaces because we're going to rebuild them. So all we got to do now is trim these three lines back and then draw a line from corner to corner. So divide, delete. Those guys are back. Now we just need to add a line here. Unlock your angle from here to here. And now we have the framework for our surfaces. So, you know what? I believe I put a lot of these curves on the surfaces. So I'm going to just highlight everything here real quick. Right click on level and push it to level 1 just to make sure all my CAD's there. Yeah, there's nothing on surfaces and solids now. So let's see. Let's go ahead and start putting in our surfaces. So create surface flat boundary. And we're going to just go all the way around this part, making one surface at a time. So you select the line, follow the chain in the right direction, enter, enter, and we'll go make the next one. Just follow this chain around, enter, enter. Enter, enter. Enter, enter. Enter, enter. Got don't forget the bottom. Okay, so now we have a fully defined shape here, but these are surfaces. It doesn't know there's anything in the middle of this. That a solid basically is telling the machine that the inside of this has material, the outside it doesn't. With surfaces, these are just two-dimensional X, Y planes that are trimmed to certain CADs. They're infinitely thin. That's all they define. However, now that we have surfaces that fully enclose a volume, we can now convert it to a solid. So let's go to our levels. Let's activate level 3. And now we're going to go solids. Solids from surfaces. And it's going to ask you to select it. We're just going to draw a window around everything. Hit enter. The original source, I'm going to say keep. Well, this basically tolerances, what that means is if edge is within 5, if the units I think are an inch, if these edges are within 5 thousandths of each other, it's going to consider them touching and create a solid with it. So we'll prove that. I'm going to turn off the visibility of 2, turn off the visibility of 1, and now we have a solid. And that is, in this episode, that ends this. We'll come up to WCS top. And now we have everything where it's supposed to go, and that's how we create this part. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.